For the 10th year in a row, Amnesty International and other civil rights groups gathered at the Supreme Court in protest of the Guantanamo detainees and the National Defense Authorization Act.
Michael Marceau. I'm with Veterans for Peace in DC area chapter. I'm the vice president. We're here to support the Amnesty International and their stand against torture. We think it is wrong. We think it is contrary to the ideals of our country, and we in the military absolutely despise it. And we think that the more people speak out against it, the sooner it will be stopped.
Terrorists, the Obama administration has shamelessly resorted to using drones to affect.
The protesters wore orange jumpsuits in solidarity with prisoners of Guantanamo and marched from the Supreme Court to the south lawn of the White House. Congress again failed to uphold the United States government's obligation to respect, protect, and fulfill human rights. Passed the 2013 National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA, with provisions that would gravely hinder the effort to close Guantanamo prison and would further entrench indefinite detention. All people have the right to a fair trial and the right to be free from arbitrary detention. Anyone detained, you, me, the Guantanamo detainees, must either be charged and fairly tried or be released. These are bedrock principles enshrined in the United States Constitution and in international law. These rights cannot be stripped away by Congress or the President in the name of a never-ending and vaguely defined global war.
How could a country that says it is the center and the beacon of freedom and democracy have created such an abominable, unjust, immoral institution as Guantanamo, as Bagram, and as this whole system of black sites, rendition, and indefinite detention? We just started at one institution, the Supreme Court. Everybody knows the Supreme Court at various times made rulings that gave some hope, but they've also slammed the door shut. We walked by the district court, which has done more than any institution to keep these men locked up forever, including the men at Bagram. We walked by the FBI, responsible in many ways for the whole system, and here we are in front of the White House. I was one among you who looked at Obama coming in, and I didn't believe the hype and I didn't believe the promise, and I'm not glad to say that. I don't believe that someone who signed up to be commander-in-chief of this empire right now really deeply intended to stop the injustice. At any rate, I will accept what many of you have told me, that if we only raise our voices loud enough, we can force him into a situation and Congress to close this. Well, I feel as many of you do too right now. Last year we had 1,000. This year we had hundreds. I am never one to get down on protest, because I know if we're out here, we at least are not being changed.
That's right.
We are not accommodating and accepting this gross injustice. I was just asked by a reporter, what's the next step? I know the only next step is to go out to all the people we know and have honest conversations with them about what the heck is happening to this country. The underlying illegitimate war on terror that is not over, that is being carried out in the form of targeted assassinations, signature strikes, and kill lists by this commander-in-chief, all of the whole package must be challenged by people like us. Yes, the Guantanamo attorneys, all the other attorneys who care about justice, all the religious folks that we'll be with in a little while, all the former prisoners. And there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of former prisoners in this country, the biggest prison house of nations. I want to invite anyone, when this event ends, to come with me, Andy Worthington, whoever else wants to get together, and let's talk seriously about next steps. How are we going to make this a huge question? How are we going to go into the minds of people in this country and counter the lies and the justification of torture in Zero Dark 30? That's a tremendous challenge on us. And I will close by saying that for the last year I've been involved in another political battle up in New York against stop and frisk, the illegitimate NYPD policy of stopping Black and Latino men. 89% of them are Black and Latino, 700,000 people stopped. We've been fighting this with mass civil disobedience protests. We've been in court around it. And there are people who are fighting this who didn't know about Guantanamo. So when I told them that we were coming here to protest, they said, "Oh, that's mass incarceration by the US government. We're against that too." So I feel hope that those millions of people in this country who know about the 2.4 million people locked up in this country, most because they're poor, are a base of operations, a base of support for closing Guantanamo.